listeners, welcome back to the Lone Screenplay Nominee podcast, where we talk about films that were solely nominated for an Oscar in the writing categories. I'm your host, Matthew Anderson, and today we have Jillian Salea back on the podcast from episode on Hiroshima Mon Amour. How you doing today?
Jillian Salea, boo to both. It's
Sorry.
Jillian Salah, Matthew. I'm gonna pull your ears, I swear.
I apologize.
Who is Jillian Salea? This sounds like a pretentious bitch. I'm doing good, except for the Jillian Salea.
I know, I mucked up the pronunciation. I'm like, damn it. All right, I got lucky once with Megan Laux, but I was like, nope, okay. Nope,
Okay.
oops, my bad. It's from the Belfast episode, so anyways. So yeah, I mucked up that. Yeah, but other than that, you said you're doing good?
Not really, but I don't think the world is good. We're just trying to carve our way through it, finding some interesting things to say. But the world at large is kind of depressing. This generation is,
Yeah. Yeah. I should also mention that we're recording this before even I've even announced the Belfast episode is coming out. So it's like May 5th. So this is like way in advance. And I was even shocked that you were like, oh yeah, let's record as early as possible. I'm like, okay. I don't usually record 2 episodes back to back this early in advance for before they come out for release, but all right, let's give it a try. If anything else, it might give me a bit more heads up for some other episodes I want to try to get out over the next coming months. Well, over the summer specifically, but that's not what you want to hear. You want us to hear about our thoughts on a very obscure French movie from 1980 that Jay had selected, My American Uncle. And as usual, this won't be a beat-by-beat bulletin presentation like you hear on other channels, but we will be discussing major spoilers for our talk. If you haven't seen the film yet and want to hear our full thoughts on it, watch the film first and then come back to hear us talk about it, as we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. Yeah, so before we do, I just want to give the log line of what this film is. Professor Henry Laborit, I think I mucked that pronunciation as well. Sorry, my bad. I don't know what's up with me.
there are tons of names that you're gonna ruin.
Yeah.
Just wait for it.
So anyway, so Professor Henry uses the stories of the lives of these 3 people to discuss behaviorist theories of survival, combat, rewards, and punishment, as well as anxiety. Resnais is a technical manager at a textile factory and must face the anxiety caused by corporate downsizing. Janine is a self-educated actor / stylist who learns that the wife of her lover is dying and must decide to let them reunite. And Jean or Jean, I don't know how you pronounce that in French, is a controversial career climber, writer / politician at a crossroads in life. Yeah. So we had already discussed. I don't know if this was on air or off air when we had done the Hiroshima Mon Amour episode. That you wanted to cover this episode. You wanted to cover this movie for whenever you decide to come back. We're now months later. And here we are talking about another Alain Resnais.
Alain Resnais.
Alain Resnais, thank you, Jesus.
Alain Resnais, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We will be like doing lots of.
Yeah, this will be the whole episode, guys. It's just
John
us fucking up all the pronunciations, and then Jay's just correcting me, be like, "No, Matt, that's not how you pronounce it." I'm like, "Sorry, I apologize, my bad." So why was it that you wanted to choose this one specifically? Was it because of the director's involvement on this film, or was it just because you were just curious to see what it was like overall?
I swear, now that I think about it, probably because I'm a masochist. Like, I really love torturing myself. This is why I picked this amazing film from Alain Resnais, who, by the way, I liked before watching this movie, and now I'm starting to rethink my relationship with this director. I probably thought it would be as Hiroshima Mon Amour, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Mm-hmm. But no, Jay, of course, you ruined your viewing experience, and now I'm starting to rethink, well, maybe French cinema is not for everyone. So yeah, probably just for Alain Resnais.
Yeah, and you
Silly
said
little me.
yeah, and you also said this was your first film watch, your first viewing of this. Am I correct in saying that?
Yup.
Okay, interesting. So this is my, as I say for most episodes, released for the lone screenplay nominees. This is my first watch as well, and I didn't quite hate it as much as you did because I did find some aspects about it to be interesting, but make no mistake, I am not a fan of the film. I do find it to be pretty pretentious in aspects of it. Uh,
Exactly.
but there are aspects of the film, and it's funny because it really was a case of there's a lot of great ideas in this movie, but for me, I just don't think it really coalesced to a fascinating narrative to tell. Like, I was actually weird enough while watching it, and I haven't seen enough of Alan. Uh,
Renee.
Renee, thank you.
Alain
Jesus.
Resnais.
Yeah, my brain's not working today. So Alan Resnais, I haven't seen much of his other films outside of this and Hiroshima and More that we both covered on the podcast. And what I find really interesting, one thing that I started to sort of perk up a bit when we opened up with the movie, I thought, oh, okay, so this is setting itself up like a Wes Anderson movie almost, where we're setting up these characters. We're having a lot of narration go on, describing the lives of these characters, quirks, and even where they came from in terms of their background, and being like, oh yeah, like this one was barely alive when they were born. The other one was given birth to on like a remote island. There was another child that was given a natural birthing at their home, things like that. And I thought, okay, all right, maybe this is going to become like another, like, I could see why Wes Anderson's influence as a filmmaker came from. I don't know if he's actually seen any of Alan's films in the past, including this one, but it was something I was like, okay, maybe this could be something. And as it went on and on, I'm like, okay, I'm not really seeing much of a point here. Again, there's a lot of really interesting ideas that the film is trying to tackle, even from a screenplay point of view. But I just at the end of the day, I just found it to be very meh. But it sounds to me like you're more negative on this than I am.
100%, because I can take a pretentious love story like Hiroshima Mon Amour. Okay, I can take pretentious French cinema. Give it to me any day. But why the fuck should I care about all these ugly, boring, shitty characters who, for me, I swear, I don't care if they live, die, I don't really care if they end up together, if they murder each other, if they get a promotion, if they are just kicked out of their jobs, they lose their children. When you just feel so detached, and there are movies where you feel detached and you're like, okay, I don't care. But there are movies where you feel detached and you're like, but what the fuck am I doing? Why am I spending my times watching these people? I I read that I think he was trying, Alain Resnais, to dissuade or disprove the René Descartes philosophies. Okay, and I studied Descartes in school. Fine, I can take philosophical movies even. But I don't care. The way you put it, and Mr. Henry, I don't even know his last name, who kept the narration inside the film, is one dude who makes me feel like I can't stand myself. Henry Laborie or something like that. Okay, Henri Laborie, Mr. whatever, scientist, philosopher, crap, talking about rats escaping their fate. I don't give a shit. I don't really give a rat's ass. Look at the pun on that.
Yeah.
So, seriously, why? Like, I'm trying to think of why he thought that mixing amazing philosophies and all those vignettes and mini stories and explanations about people and aggression and analyzing the human brain. This is such a crowded film. You feel there is a lot. And the narrative doesn't hold up. Not to mention the actors. Most of them are like just so tasteless. Like, at least give me, like eye candy, Alain Delon, give me, what's her name, Anna Karina, these hot people, so that when you do boring movie, at least you're like, okay, but you guys are hot, I'm gonna root for you. This is cinema. But then you're like, they look like dads and uncles and people in your family. Why would I watch a movie with someone who looks like, like my uncle, or, like someone in the grocery shop next to me? I don't care. I don't want that. Even when it's done in realism movies, it's done so good because it's about problems that are facing people, working class, blah, blah, blah. But these problems, I mean, I don't care, man. I seriously don't. I don't know. It felt too pretentious, but also on the nose in its pretentiousness. So it didn't click for me. I don't care.
Yeah, I really think that as much as I want to praise the ideas for the film itself, it really just the characters themselves. I agree with you. They're not interesting characters. Like
Exactly.
they start out as like they could have promise if there's a way to tie these characters in together. Hell, even if it were a shorter runtime, I would actually be more on board with the movie. Like we talked about Hiroshima and more, and that was I think that was like what 90 minutes long, maybe a
Exactly.
little
Very
less.
short and sweet.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's only about two people discussing whether or not they should be together or they should just be apart, and that's what made something like that work so well. Was even though I personally wasn't too attached to the characters, I could at least forgive it for its short runtime. It was 90 minutes long. I'm in and I'm out, and good. But this one, you're right. This does drag because a lot of it's the fact that you don't really care about these characters, and even the problems that they get into. Yeah, there are day-to-day conflicts going on, like the fact that you have Janine, who is an actress who has an affair with this guy Jean or
Jean.
Jean, yeah,
Jean.
and
Jean Legal. Mm-hmm.
and you're like, okay, maybe this could be an interesting conflict for these characters to go through, even with the idea of having the guy leave his family for this actress. I'm like, okay, there is something in here, but
Okay.
they
Exactly.
don't. Again, they don't really explore these ideas any more than just, as you said, like trying to hammer in some of these like messaging and even how these ideas are coming across in the story. And it's a shame because I actually think you could tell this kind of story even with when it has the more weird imagery of the rats and even have these characters put on like these uh, it was like well, not a hatlet but like a mask of a rat
Yeah.
of sorts,
These were
and
fun.
it's like, wow,
Exactly.
that's a really interesting visual
I would have watched this film.
to bring out. Yeah, but it's not really. It's only done as like an example of like it's based off the writings of Henry Laboure, and it's not really done in an interesting way. That keeps me invested throughout. It was very much like I was somewhat into this film in parts, but not a lot for me to go, ooh, I want to know more about these characters. If anything, I was just it did make me look back at something like Hiroshima no More, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of curious to know what happened between Hiroshima no More and this. I mean, obviously they're two completely different writers attached,
Exactly.
because you have Gene Grualt, who had done other films. I don't know if he's ever done with many movies with Alain before. This actually might have been their first collaboration together, and then they wrote a handful of films afterwards together. But yeah, and as far as like the performances go, I thought they're fine for what they are. If if you had asked me like, okay, which one of the three did you think gave a pretty good performance or was at least trying to spin something out of this, I would say it was Nicole Garcia, who plays the actress Janine. She was the one of the three that I was the most interested in, just because it seemed to me like I could connect with her character a little bit more. Even though it's just like the other characters, we're still kept at a distance for us to get invested in these characters. I'm curious if you agree or disagree with me on what I'm saying so far.
I hated the politician so much. Okay, Gerard Depardieu, he's a great French actor. Okay, who played Rene. I like Gerard Depardieu, but not here. Seriously, his character, I couldn't care less for him. Janine, okay, I would have wanted another actress, but at least Janine had a sympathetic story. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, I was like, girl, when you, the wife of the man you're sleeping with, comes and tells you she's dying of whatever disease, don't believe her. I was so pissed off at her. I mean, like, girl, don't be sacrificial. You already stole a married man. You stole him from his family. So at least play the game till the end. Don't wait for someone to tell you, no, I'm dying. I want my husband. Ah, screw you. I don't care. He chose me. You know what I mean? Like, be the selfish bitch you started out as. I hated the character, like development. It didn't make sense to me. Like, what was she really? Like, what did they want us to feel? Besides, imagine the guy playing Jean. This is him. This is the catch. What's his name, the actor? Because I really want to kill him.
Roger Pierre, who played
Exactly, Roger
the husband.
Pierre.
Yeah.
Oh, oh my goodness. First of all, he's a sleazy politician slash failed writer, so what a guy, okay?
Yeah.
Second of all, this is the thing, this is the prize, the trophy. Well, at least take him, bitch. Don't let her fool you. I couldn't be angrier at her. I hate when characters act stupidly, and I don't even they didn't convince me. Like, why would she do this? Why? Because her mother used to slap her and her dad was abusive. Like, I don't know why she did this. She already ventured into this, let the man break a family and abandon them. So why leave him? So for me, the character was kind of frustrating, more than I could love. When also probably if it was another actress, I would have felt like, okay, girl, I don't care. You're just awesome. You're a cool actress. I like you. But because I disliked most of them, so I was like probably more frustrated at their actions than I should have been in another situation. So yeah, probably she's the best because they all suck. Honestly, not because she's good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I could see that. It's very much like, yeah, like I get. It's almost like a pick your poison. Which one do you think was like the best? I don't know. Go with this person, I guess, because she had a more sympathetic role.
Exactly, exactly. The role was like, ha, at least I don't care if people get promoted or get fired of work. Because and all the other men were like, oh, he's taking my place, like they're kicking me out. I don't care, bitch. Come on, ball up and find another job. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Um. Yeah, and as far as like the other, like I'm curious to know, talking also about the movie specifically, how did I think I know the answer to this next question I'm about to ask, but how did you feel about having it's almost like I'm playing psychotherapist today, where I'm like, where did the point on the bear where the movie touched you and made you pissed off, but I'm curious to know what were your thoughts on them including the archive footage in between each section of the film. Did you find it annoying, pretentious, bit of both? Uh,
My problem is I love these kinds of artistic movies. This is why I'm telling you I feel like I hate this movie more because sometimes when you have archival footage in the middle and it's so French cinema, oh
mhm.
l'amour. Okay, you feel like okay guys, I get it. You guys like eat your breakfast and read, like Jean-Paul Sartre, fine. But here it felt like, well, you know what? I don't give a shit. So I was just like so pissed off. I seriously was like, okay, I'm gonna skip these parts of it. But then I was like, okay, let me watch crabs. Yes, on the island. Ooh, look at look at Henri Laborie or whatever his name is, looking at us, looking like death, facing me from the underground, telling me about the human brain. Wow, such interesting. Not to mention all the parts about the French actors whom I didn't even care for. Like the parts where I read somewhere that each character reflects the destiny of an actual French actor. Wait, why should I care? Like, who
Yeah.
are you making this movie for, Alain René? I understand vanity projects, okay? I understand when you do something selfishly for yourself, you don't care about critics or audiences. But this is not even. It's so terrible. I swear, I just gave it like a 2-star rating on Letterboxd and wrote, oh fuck. I didn't even care to say something negative about it. I was just
Oh
so
boy.
bored. Don't do this to me. What is this? I hated the archival footage. Crap.
Yeah. Again, it kind of it goes back to what I say about, you have a lot, even though you have a really clever or creative concept that you want to explore on film, the main point of your film should be to entertain the audience and to make them care about your characters. Because if you make them care about your characters, then at barest minimum you have an entertaining movie. You're like, oh cool, we have this like really interesting, unique movie that we have, or something that's oh yeah, cool. Like I don't know what the case may be, of a film. I guess like Nightcrawler. I guess you would argue where Nightcrawler, even if you don't know what it's really a deconstruction of, which is L.A. and the new
I love
system, and
Nightcrawler.
even having this whole uh, ego, trying to get ahead of the competition, so to speak. At the end of the day, you still have an entertaining movie to watch. You're seeing a man crumble psychologically and internally as he's going throughout the film to get his goal of becoming the number one news guy to capture this, footage of these accidents and murders that occur in L.A. But it's like, again, but that's something that a general audience would see. Again, you would, if you develop these characters properly or gone more in depth with these people, uh again, you would have an entertaining movie. And it's like, okay, so what if you couldn't get into the psychological mind of how a brain works, and these are like the three constructions. It's like, okay, but just again, make these characters interesting, and then you can go into your explanation of why these characters are. Or maybe it was that these writers wrote it, the writer Jean Girault, when he based it off of Henry Labourie's work, because that's what the script is based upon, of his theories as a French surgeon and neurobiologist and philosopher, as we already said. It almost seems like he's basing these ideas and theories off of his work, but he doesn't really have enough of an interesting story to tell. It's almost like, that's okay. We'll get through it, okay, and we'll be fine. And I am curious to know if this has much of a cult following, so to speak, because
Exactly,
uh,
I'm interested too.
yeah, because I don't know if many people I've even talked with have had a chance to even see the movie at all. And this is a really hard to find movie in of itself. So maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. So
I don't think it deserves to be found, guys. Okay, leave it in the vault. But seriously, okay. So think about it. Either you make a pretend, because when I think about it, Hiroshima Mon Amour had a lot of archival footage too, and it was so good because it was letters between two lovers, and it was like parts of cities and things that actually made sense. But here, it feels like, okay, I don't care. I don't even feel like the characters are acting like crabs or rats or whatever. They're not acting like anything. They're just stupid humans. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even feel the animalistic side of things or the brain functioning of things. They're just three awful people. I don't know even what they're trying to do. It's like I tell you, get your friend, the most boring bank teller you have in your life, and make a movie about him. But don't even make it as in I'm doing a realist movies where you show him going down the subway or like paying bills and shit. No, show him as a pretentious, I know, je suis malade, and make people pissed at you and like piss on your film and stuff. This is what
yeah.
I felt, what it felt to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't feel quite as strong as you did, but at the same time, I agree. It's nothing to write home about, so to speak. See what I
But now
did
you
there?
feel better about Hiroshima Mon Amour. Now you feel more
Yeah,
sympathetic. You felt
but
you were cruel against it.
also too, about Hiroshima Mon Amour is that when it uses archive footage, because I've seen like so many movies in between our episodes when we did that one, so it feels like forever since we did that. But I remembered when it used archive footage that it had used. It was done in a way that it was like, okay, it makes sense because of the time period we're in. Like, we just got out
Yes.
of like World War II, and so it would, and you had like an uprising going on, so to speak, and you had like opposing sides going on. So it made sense, even though I'm making it sound more interesting to a normal audience. It's a lot more subdued. But again, it kind of it makes sense just because it's about two people who are in love, and again, exploring those ideas of what, is this really worth sticking around for each other for, or should you guys just veer off and go your own way? um and once
Exactly.
again, it has a shorter runtime, so even if you're bored by it, it's like, all right, 90 minutes in, you're in and you're out almost. Where again, this is like 2 hours and 6-7 minutes, I think. So
Exactly. It's like 2 hours. Imagine, it felt like a dental appointment. Seriously, what is this? And okay, some of the parts that really pissed me off. When she's like, whenever she's Janine facing the wife, or when she's talking to him and he's like, I wanted you, but who are you? I wish she
Mhm.
at least would have told him, like, do you get to choose me, you I wish at least you would have had something, but no, no, don't abandon me, please, Jean. Who cares about Jean? Guys, are you serious? Please kill him already. He's a politician. He's sleazy. No one likes him.
Yeah. Yep. Uh, yeah. I'm trying to even think if there's anything else specifically I
Anything
wanted to
that
bring up
makes
about it.
it worth. Will you find
Um,
anything that we want to talk about regarding this movie? I mean,
yeah.
I can't.
To be
Seriously.
honest, I didn't have any. I didn't really have a whole lot of thoughts on the movie itself. Again, it was just a very passive film for me. As I keep saying over and over again, there's interesting concepts and ideas being explored, but I'm not connecting with these characters because again, it feels like it just as we've been saying over and over again. It's like there's if you had focused more on your characters and made them interesting enough, or made us empathize with them, like if you are going to make us watch these degenerate assholes, as you have already said, these characters are, make them interesting, make them have something relatable that we could understand why they've gotten themselves in this situation. Maybe do a little bit of exploration of their childhood lives, especially with Gerard Depardieu and the girl. It's like have us get more invested in their like explore some of that a bit more rather than just have it be told through montage editing and just show snippets of their arguments. Like when Gerard walks out of the was it the dining area, and he brings his girlfriend along
Yes.
with him, and they're like, "All right, get us out of here." All right, we'll get going now. It's like just explore more of those aspects of the story because like again, I was okay with it at first when it started off as like a short French New Wave documentary, but I'm like, okay, I hope this is able to get into the story quickly, and then like it's really not. No, it's going to be like this through most of the film.
He doesn't
Um,
have a unified tone. He doesn't have like a vision for the film. You feel like the film sometimes feels like, yes, it's very avant-garde-ish, it's very, like pretentious, but then you have a narrative and a very linear traditional structure to tell a story. I don't know. There was a huge portion of the film in their childhood where they're like being taught by the grandparent. Also, what is the significance of the island? I don't know. There is a lot in this film which didn't feel like it made sense.
I am curious if the island they were trying to hammer in this idea of freedom. The fact that where you're on an island where you're isolated, you're not all your worries and troubles are no longer with you and you're just there stuck on an island by yourself and you're like, yeah, I could just it's almost like I'm on vacation practically. And I wonder if that was what Alan Renee was trying to delve into with these characters, particularly with the sleazy politician guy. So maybe that's what he was trying to do was like a metaphor for that idea, but again, it's almost like
Probably.
okay, yeah,
But
go
he
ahead.
didn't fully explore it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you have a great.
Oh, totally.
Each time he had a great idea, he didn't work on it. Didn't fully
Yeah.
explore it. This is what I felt like. What? Yes, you have something great. The affair, like the island as an escape from, the materialistic world or something. Someone finding freedom after years of, like chasing this dream, this corporate dream, or this, like climbing the ladder as a politician. Great, I understand that. And then you have this idea, and then you have this great idea, and you ruin it. Why? Because you cannot fully flesh it out. You're not working on it. You're not fully exploring it. And this just pisses me off so much because he had multiple great ideas that he didn't work on. Also, because I want to hear your opinion on this. What is the significance of the American uncle? Didn't the three of them mention the American uncle who got away and went to America and like blah blah blah, either died, imagining he would be rich and then died a beggar or something? What was the
Yeah.
significance? I don't feel he fully explored that one too.
Uh, I don't know. I actually don't know. What was the significance, even in the title, which is the English translation of My American Uncle or My Uncle from America.
Yeah,
Um,
mon oncle Amérique.
I don't know actually. What that was, because like I said, I'm just watching it the whole time. I'm like,
See,
okay, and
exact. See, so even I was waiting till the last minute. Each one of them would say, "Oh, I had mon oncle who went to l'Amérique," and
mm,
then okay, so what did he do? Did he die? What was the significance? Why were you guys looking up to this uncle? Like, did he do something interesting? Did you think you could be like him? I was waiting for something, anything. No, this is not it. It felt like very, when you have an idea and then it gets cut off at the middle, and then you have an idea and you put all your jumbled ideas into a crazy essay, and people are like, okay, but where is the theme? Where is the thought? And I know this could work for someone like Godard, but not for you, Alain Rene, baby, because you suck at it. You're terrible at these kind of things.
yeah. So outside of Hiroshima Mon Amour and this, have you seen anything else from Alan Rene?
I saw Morial and liked it.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah,
Any others,
and
or
I
was
saw.
just those
I
three?
think I saw Morial, and I saw Hiroshima Mon Amour and this sad piss.
Okay.
I think I saw something called the Bed of Roses or something like the Deathbed of something like that.
Hmm.
Something called Death of Roses, the Deathbed of Roses, but not really. But I really like the style so much of Muriel and Hiroshima Mon Amour that I immediately thought, well, this guy must be great, because for me, I had the same experience with someone like Godard or someone like Eric Romer or someone like Agnès Varda. And by the way, Agnès Varda and Chantal Akerman are two pretentious directors so much, but still, like Vagabond, a film that I was discussing with an amazing podcaster. Her name is Morgan. Don't know the name. The Female Gaze podcast, I think. And it had many like vignettes, or like sections where it's just interviews with regular people that didn't make sense to the entire narrative, but still it made sense because they were in the head of a very prolific, a very adept director who knew what she was doing. Not here. Here you feel like, I don't care. You could make a separate movie with Henri Labouré or whatever, and then you can make a separate movie with the narrative and the kids who grew up to be, like terrible adults.
Yeah, again, like there's ways you could explore this story and expand on these characters, but I think if nothing else, this is I'm looking here. I'm pretty sure we're in like the potential minority, because on Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 86 Rotten Tomatoes score, but an 87 audience score. So I think we're in the minority of like
Goodness, audience
of
like this movie. Wait, what did they
yeah.
write? Okay, now
Uh,
that you have Rotten Tomato, tell me, why are people praising it? Tell me.
Okay.
Let's be happy.
So let's see. So Roger Ebert at the time, he gave it 4 out of 4. I'm looking through. He said just reading like a little blurb they have here on Rotten Tomatoes. The characters are sympathetic, the narrative is well constructed,
No,
and we care.
no,
But consider one
no.
sequence in it. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me finish, Kanye. But consider one sequence in itself. It is perfectly absorbing. Then see how Renee deconstructs it. Okay, that's
It's a
interesting.
bunch of crap. Say it.
Um,
I don't care, Ebert. I'm sorry. What you're saying is bull.
yeah. Was it Jesus Santos? He has they have a full review in Spanish. This is like one of the negative reviews. Said what's missing
Yes.
is a more ironic Alan Rene, who's here determined to follow a scientific script. Yeah, that actually does. Yeah, that actually does kind of go in line, like we've been saying over and over again. It's just
Thank you,
it,
Jesus.
it, it feels like a more scientific screenplay, that's focused on the constructions of what this writer that the works is based upon has, without actually having a coherent enough screenplay. So, yeah. Um, But yeah, no, other than that, though, yeah, I don't need to go into more of the Rotten Tomatoes stuff. We can
Who
just,
cares? Maybe people.
yeah.
By the way, some people are so afraid of looking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna pretend," because there are people who are
Yeah.
like, "I'm not gonna pretend I don't like French cinema," but I like it when people are like, "No, screw French cinema. I don't care," or like, "I don't really like Interstellar and all that crap that Christopher Nolan throws down my throat." I like people who do that seriously, and I love, by the way, French cinema. But I like it when people are like, "I don't care," or when people pick, like the greatest film everybody loves and say, like Mad Max, for example. I know people consider it very amazing and one of the best films. I don't. So I love it when people are like, no. So people probably are like afraid. This is why I didn't ask you what did the critics say. I don't care. Critics are always afraid of looking the odd one out. Except, of course, the critics who are like, I'm gonna screw everything. I'm gonna shit on everything. These are also terrible. God bless them. So, yeah, I don't care about critics. I wanted to know audiences. Are all the people who watch this like who intellectuals from their time? Who are these people? And why are they there? Why are they taking us to evolution and like greater good in the world?
I am curious though, because again, we also want to point out that this was, at least for me, it was a little bit tricky to define this film. But I am curious to know what how would more of our like letterbox buddies think of the film if they actually found a way to see this, because we've seen time and time again when films like this are really hard to find, and most of our buddies don't even see it or don't even know about it until it drops on like HBO Max or Netflix or whatever. They're like, oh, it's an easy enough stream that I could find it on and get it that way. So I am curious to know what more people think of this, or if the rating, if like the audience scores for these would go lower and such. But yeah, but no, it's just something I wanted to bring
Okay,
up with Rotten
I'll tell
Tomatoes.
you.
Oh god.
I'll tell you the audience who liked it. Film school snobs. Because they are everywhere. Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Let me read you something very interesting because I'm just so pissed off. This is quite a slog to make it through. There's a lot of work to do to get through this one and actively try to follow the changes in film, style, genre, tone, as well as a running lecture of sorts on human psychological development and its varied complexities. The first half is especially tough, sledding as you try to get a. What is this? This means that the film sucks, aka why make a film that doesn't feel like it's connected and you're not even doing it consciously. Like, I could make a disconnected film, like a film that does not seem like it makes sense, but make it through a conscious effort to make people feel like, wow, look at this innovation in storytelling, look at this innovation in the way you edited the film. But this didn't feel like it, guys. It felt like he had a film in mind, started with it, and then ended up with a completely different film, which is not good. Either way, whoever likes it, good for them. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, you could tell that to Roger Ebert in his grave, because I remembered he was like one of the big fans of this. Yeah. And believe me, I like Roger Ebert, but there have been a couple of reviews he's done. I'm like, what are you doing, man? What are you smoking?
Exactly, me too,
what's
by
up
the
with this?
way.
I mean, everyone has it. I have it too, where I'm like, why the hell did Matt give it such a high rating on this when it should be much, much lower? Why is he so
Exactly.
generous? And I just had a conversation with a buddy of mine, Jack Mahanes, just now, actually, saying that a buddy of his texted to Jack, I won't say who, but they're like, wow, Matt's ratings are like really low. Like, he is being really mean towards these films. And I'm like, compared to some of the people I've met online and even had on my podcast, I am one of the more nicer critics. So,
Exactly.
so when I
Because
give a
there are
movie,
films.
go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry.
Tell me, because I feel sometimes like you don't like a movie, but I feel that your rating is generous for it. Because I felt it. I felt it a couple of films.
Yeah, even in Stevenson, there were a couple of films that we watched in class that I was like, I didn't think it was as bad as you guys thought, but I didn't think it was that amazing. Like this one, where it's like I didn't quite have the hatred or passion, because for me to evoke that, I'd have to be more invested in the story, and I really wasn't. I was just like, okay, it's nicely shot movie, but um, if anything else, I would have liked it as a much shorter movie, and maybe I could stomach this a little bit more. But as is, it's just, eh, you know. But whatever. That happens sometimes when you do one of these for the podcast. You're like, okay, this is the movie. where it's like, okay, in order to get through the good stuff on when you create a show like this, you got to get through some of the more,
Exactly.
mediocre
Bizarre,
ones.
weird, blah blah blah. Exactly.
Yeah, and sometimes a movie is obscured because maybe it wasn't that great to begin with.
That's
Sometimes,
the thing. It doesn't have to be obscure because it's genius, and we're all idiots. This is what I hate about people who are like, "No, you didn't get it. He's a I don't care. There are geniuses that I get, by the way.
yeah, yeah, you didn't get it. You're too stupid, Jalen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, yeah, we don't really need to go into our final thoughts on this. We can just jump right into
There
the
are no
awards
final
section.
thoughts, man. I've
Yeah.
had many expletives.
Yeah,
Or like
no, we're
Joe Pesci.
no. We're good. We can move on. So My American Uncle had premiered at the 33rd Cannes Film Festival, where it competed for the Palme d'Or, I should say, prize, but lost in a tie to Bob Fosse's All That Jazz, which weirdly enough came out the year before, but it wasn't eligible for French theaters, and I think it was like an eligibility issue as to why it competed at that year's Cannes Film Festival. And so it lost to a tie to that film and Akira Kurosawa's Kajimusha, which I think I might have mucked up that pronunciation too. Sorry,
We're
guys.
killing it here.
I apologize,
Henri
Akira
Leroux.
Kurosawa. It was able to win both the Grand Prix and the International Federation of Film Critics Prize at the Cannes Film Festival, and the film itself went on to be screened out of competition at the 37th Venice Film Festival, and ended up releasing here in the United States on December 17th, 1980. Outside of its lone Oscar nomination, which we'll get to in just a moment, it was nominated for the screenplay category at the National Society of Film Critics and won the foreign language prize at the New York Film Critics Circle. However, I'm not sure if you knew about this, Jay. It wasn't submitted for France's pick for the international film category at the Oscars, as they went with a more critically and financially successful film by Francois Truffaut's, which was The Last Metro. I never saw it, so I'm curious to know how that film was.
Me too.
But it sounds
By
like
the
they
way.
probably went with like the better pick.
Exactly. Haha. Now I'm happy.
Yeah. But My American Uncle did not go on to win the Oscar for the original screenplay category, as it lost to Melvin and Howard. The other nominees that year, in case anyone's interested, were Private Benjamin, Fame, and Brubaker, which was another lone writing nominee on the lineup. See, that could have been the other film we could have talked about from this year. But anyways, so I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask once again, since you chose this for our discussion, did you think this was worthy of its writing nomination?
No, because, and I'm not even being unfair to it. I seriously don't think it deserves any nomination. I'm surprised at all the French, but of course, my darling, we'll do this. We'll do this to our directors. But no, I don't think it deserves any nomination whatsoever.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, you already answered my second question. In that, would you have given it another nomination? But I'm like, okay, well, you answer that.
Probably Radzi. I'll definitely give it Radzi to the guy playing the politician. Wait, what is his name? He was the worst. Roger Pierre. Because, at least Depardieu and Nicole Garcia were better than him. The one playing the politician, oh my goodness. And when he had an ulcer or whatever, I don't care. Please. So yeah.
No,
terrible
well, that
actor.
was the stomach ulcer was the Gerard Depardieu, and
This
the
one had what, like a fever? Didn't he also lay
We had
in
like a
bed
kid-
and wait for her to nurse him?
he had like
Yeah.
kidney stones, I think, in his system.
Goodness, imagine being a mistress and nursing the guy. This is what wives are for, darling. I don't care.
Yeah. So, yeah, I will say, as I keep reiterating over and over again, if we were talking about, like, for me at least personally, I don't know if Jay's going to agree with me on this entirely, or if we're going to be another, like, oh, this is where we disagree on this. I think in terms of the concept and ideas of the screenplay, like, if we're just talking about what's the clever, creative screenplay written from that year, sure, I could see why it got nominated, because again, it is trying to do something different and new within this year, or even within this film in and of itself. But I do agree it doesn't work as well as it could have been. But I personally would not have given it the nomination, but I get why it did. Even though it's funny enough, yeah, the director was not involved with the screenplay at all. Because usually when they give these kind of lone screenplay nominations, the director is involved with the script. But oh well. And yeah, so I the only other thing I have to say about it, which we won't go too far into this per se, just because I haven't gotten a chance to watch the film that did win the Oscar, Melvin and Howard. I should point out that that managed to win the original screenplay category, despite it being a box office bomb. Like they tested the film out. I think it was Universal that distributed the film. They tested the film. Audiences, I'm pretty sure audiences didn't really get it, or I could be mistaken. Maybe I'm twisting my own words with this, but regardless of what happened with the test screenings, it came and went. Box office bomb. Didn't do that well financially, although critically it got a lot of great press from critics and audiences, such as Mary Steenburgen, who got an Oscar win for her performance, and it was like the one and only nomination she ever got in her career. And the screenplay itself had won everything from the Writers Guild, I'm looking through here right now, the New York Film Critics Circle, National Society Film Critics, even the Boston Society Film Critics. So it won pretty much everything it needed to win at the time. And on top of that, it also helped that Bull Goldman was a previous winner in the category for, I believe, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So it made sense to have this field to be like, okay, I don't really know who who these other nominees are. I'm pretty sure all of them are first time nominees. I'm looking at it right now. Nancy Meyers is the only notable writer in this group who co-wrote Private Benjamin, but this was before
Exactly.
she became this like big time
The Nancy
director.
Myers, yes. Before
Yeah,
she became the Nancy.
yeah. But yeah, this was like before she had done the was it The Father of the Bride Part 1 and 2, Something's Got to Give, The Holiday, The Intern. So yeah. Um, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't really know these other writers attached to it. So yeah. So I think yeah. So I will do more of an extensive detail as to what happened with Melvin and Howard down the road. I can't say what it is yet. But when I announce it, you'll be like, oh, that's why Matt didn't go into Melvin and Howard right now. But that'll be safe for another day. So, any thoughts
Okay,
on the
okay.
yeah. Any thoughts on the category or anything you wanted to point out for this lineup?
I agree with you. And I also see why a film like that might get a hype. Like, I see it. I don't think it deserves it, but I
My
see
American
why.
Uncle.
Exactly, but when I see the lineup that you mentioned, I would love to visit some of those films, honestly, because most of them I haven't even seen. Like the only one from this year, no, I've seen Ordinary People, of course, Coal Miner's Daughter, all these things that are in the 53rd Academy Awards, but there are tons of things I haven't seen, like Private Benjamin, for example, Melvin and Howard. Haven't even heard of them, but I, of course, know about Bo Goldman because I love, his writings.
Yeah, I will say for Melvin and Howard, anyone who's interested in getting a copy of that, go to your local library or try to find like Target or Walmart if any of them are in stock online. Because that's actually how I got Melvin and Howard. I have a copy back behind me over by the DVDs set. I'm sitting in my bedroom, but behind me I have my own unopened copy of Melvin and Howard there. So that's how I was able to get my hands on it. And I thought, all right, I might as well get this now in case someone wants to discuss this for whatever podcast they want to talk about, or if I ever get around to it myself. So I have my own copy here with me. But just to let you guys know, it's going to be really tough to find because I tried looking like everywhere for a streaming service. Could I buy it digitally? Could I rent it digitally? And it's like, nope, can't do it. So, um,
Wow.
yeah. So I don't know what's going on like with some of these older movies. I mean, I get why some of them they're not able to get their physical media stream, distribution because the studios themselves are out of they've gone bankrupt or they're no longer of existence or they're not in the Criterion collection, so to speak. But there's some other films that I'm like, okay, like why like Cocoon is another film from the 80s that is like this won 2 Oscars. How am I not able to get my hands on this period? Like I don't know if I can even go to my library and get a copy of it there to rent out. But yeah, it's ridiculous with some of these.
Some of this
But
sounds sad, by the way. The way I feel like some movies will go extinct at some point, and we can't find a single copy of them.
yeah, yeah, it's even some of these lone screenplay nominees. It's like it's gonna be tough when I get around to them or when people start requesting movies from the 30s and 40s. Be like, hey, let's talk about this movie. It's like, sorry, can't do it because I don't have I can't get my hands on a copy of it or even get go to the library and rent it out there.
Definitely will be my next project. Find you a movie from the 30s and 40s, and hey, Matt, let's talk about this one.
Yeah. Or we could find a movie. We might have a couple ideas we can go through. I'd have to. You said. Well, yeah. We'll talk about it off air.
Yes.
What we could do. But yeah, that's pretty much. My American Uncle. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit worried that we wouldn't have enough material to really dig at for this, but I feel like this being under an hour long, I think that's fair for our audience, especially when I've already been bombarding them with like hour and a half, hour 15, hour 10-minute discussions. I feel like 50 minutes, 51 minutes is
so
like
good for a movie of that caliber.
yeah, because when you told me like right before we started, you're like, oh yeah, I did not like this movie. I'm like, oh hold on, let me press record. Okay,
Yes.
go.
Wait,
Yeah.
who would you recommend this movie to?
Pretentious film snobs.
Awesome. Great answer. Great
I don't
answer.
know. I again, I didn't have nearly as much passion or hatred towards this as you as I've seen much worse movies, even off the podcast. But even even just the films that I've talked about on the podcast discussion in of itself, I definitely agree in terms of both the nominees and winners I've discussed so far. It's definitely on the latter half of like the boring side, but at least we got an interesting discussion out of it. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, we saw this movie, we hated it. Anyways, goodbye. That's it. It's because I always hate doing those
Thank you very
episodes.
much,
Even
Matt.
yeah. So at least I apologize to any My American Uncle fanboys, fangirls out there for us dissing on your movie. But I am genuinely curious to see if this does have a fan base, and I'm open to know why they like this.
Oh my god, and they're gonna come back at us because there are people who have been like coming at me ever since I made a Twilight episode with Megan Kieran, who is such a cool chick. And people are like coming as like, hey, you know what? We pride ourselves on never watching it. I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. So probably people who would be like, you know what? You two are stupid. You don't understand anything. I would be like, okay, fine. Great. Glad to know the world is full of intelligent people. Go save us now.
Yeah, you should have been like Steve Martin, where he's like, here's an idea, have a point.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, so with that said, I think that's a perfect way to end the discussion on My American Uncle and its awards prospects. So once again, Jay, thank you so much for dedicating your time being here on the show, despite this being a bit of a slog for you to get through. Before we sign off, is there anything you'd like to plug in or where our listeners can follow you along after the episode is finished?
Definitely on Twitter, I'm still there, Jailan_Salah. On Instagram, I'm Jailan Salman. And on Blue Sky, but I don't use really Blue Sky a lot. But you can find me on YouTube on the J Days channel, where I always host some of my amazing friends. I interview people. It's just a cool place to be.
Yes. I managed to see you did a couple interviews lately, and I'm like, oh god, that's how the hell did she get these people on? So yeah,
JC. And we're gonna have Matt soon, so stay tuned.
yeah. We'll talk off air about when that'll come out, because it actually might be coinciding with when this comes out, which will be like end of May. Yeah. So there you go. You get double the fun. Hopefully, I don't know. Regardless, though, you can follow me and the show through Linktree under @Matthew995, where you can follow along on all my social media accounts, such as Twitter and Letterboxd. On the same side, I provide a link where you can listen to more episodes of the show. We also have on the Linktree address as well. All of our episodes are now on YouTube, so you don't have to hear us through audio platforms like Apple, Amazon, or Spotify. You can also go to our YouTube channel there, where you can listen to all of our full episodes on there. So that's that. If you're interested in being in the hot seat like Jay has here today, let me know, and hopefully we can arrange that happening soon. In the meantime, we hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and we hope to see you at the movies. Take care, guys.